Hey guys, it's Rob here and welcome back to another video. So in this video we are going to talk about something that's pretty interesting, something that might be unfortunate if it does end up happening to the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo has recently talked about the price increase and how it's affecting the cost of making the Nintendo Switch 2, and when you pair that with other words by them about the price increase and future price increases, it definitely doesn't paint a pretty picture when it comes to the price of the console. On the flip side, we do have some better news. It seems that Star Fox is going really well when it comes to pre-order numbers, so we're going to talk a bit about that, how that plays into the future of the franchise, especially considering Nintendo did something pretty interesting when it comes to trademarks with franchises like Star Fox. We also do have a very fantastic feature that Nintendo has recently highlighted, which they didn't really highlight too much when it comes to Star Fox, and I think it kind of got overlooked just by the sheer amount of excitement surrounding the game, because it's Star Fox, it's coming back, that's really exciting. So we're going to talk about that new feature that was just recently revealed. We have a rumor for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book as well, and other new Nintendo Switch games that have recently popped up. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you guys leave a like, it really does help push the video when you do, and of course subscribe for more Nintendo Switch news, leaks, and rumors, and of course the eventual Star Fox review. So when it comes to Star Fox, it's a game that a lot of people are very excited, especially if you played it on the Nintendo 64. I think a lot of us who are watching this right now, because most people who watch my channel are around my age, 25 to 35, you probably did play Star Fox 64 back on the Nintendo 64, so seeing this is probably really exciting, or at least to me anyways. And when it comes to Star Fox, I've always thought that it does have a lot of power to be a pretty big franchise. Not on the level of maybe Mario and The Legend of Zelda, but I definitely think it should have more games. It definitely should be pushed a little bit more by Nintendo. And this news, when it comes to the Amazon Japan top pre-order games, definitely tells a telling story that Nintendo probably is going to be pushing this a lot more. So the number one pre-ordered game right now on Amazon, at least as far as 16 hours ago, is Star Fox with an Amazon bonus item. The next one is, interestingly enough, Rhythm Heaven Groove. Splatoon Raiders is number 3, and then just the regular Star Fox is number 5. Or number 4, I mean. And this does include other games that aren't on the Nintendo Switch as well, like number 8 is 007 First Light for the PlayStation 5, which is also coming out on the Nintendo Switch 2, and Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is number 7, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced is also number 9, and this is actually pretty interesting because Square Enix recently talked about how Final Fantasy is selling really well on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is number 10 for the Nintendo Switch, so that definitely is more proof that, yeah, Final Fantasy is doing really well on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 for Square Enix, so I'm really hoping that Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be on the console as well. And keeping up with some news for Star Fox, it seems that Nintendo is currently pushing more features from Star Fox, and part of that is Game Share. I don't know if you guys may have missed this, but Star Fox is going to be having Game Share. This is what Stealth4DK has to say over on Twitter. Star Fox will support Game Share. Nintendo shared new marketing material. So this is just really fantastic. I like when games have Game Share because you're able to play it with more people, and that's always a fantastic thing to have, right? It's always fun to play games with people. Let me know if you guys are excited for Star Fox down in the comment section below, because I'm personally excited, especially considering the fact that there was some new trademark applications that were input in Japan by Nintendo for Star Fox, so I'm guessing they're going to be going all in on this franchise, and they're going to be doing a lot of stuff with that going forward, whether that just be, new accessories or potentially new games for the series, which would be really fantastic if this does sell well. And the fact that it is number 1 in Japan, as well as number 4 for the thing that doesn't have the extra Amazon stuff, is really fantastic for the franchise. I mean, it's a franchise that hasn't had much done with it, and now it is in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and it has a new game, so this is really fantastic. Moving on to the next topic, we do have something pretty interesting when it comes to Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So this is what Nintendo Wire has for the article. Rumor: Yoshi and the Mysterious Book seemingly uses Unreal Engine 5. While Nintendo is no stranger to using third-party engines to power its games, it typically refrains from doing so with major releases. That doesn't appear to be the case with the upcoming Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which reportedly will be using Unreal Engine 5 to power its whimsical visuals. So why is this a fantastic thing? Why is this good for the Nintendo Switch 2? Well, Nintendo Wire has an answer for that. They say, what does this all mean? Well, for one, I think it highlights how Unreal Engine Engine 5 is compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. That means we could end up seeing a lot more current gen ports to the console that would otherwise be impossible. It also likely means the developer Goodfeel is behind the game as it developed the last 2 Yoshi games, one of which was on Unreal Tech. Now, if the Nintendo Switch 2 does continue to get third-party support and it can have Unreal Engine 5, this is really fantastic, because if you pair this with the Square Enix news that we covered recently about them saying that Final Fantasy runs really well on, or is selling well, on the Nintendo Switch 2, that means other games, especially upcoming games like Kingdom Hearts 4 and even past games, can also be ported as well. And on top of that, the Nintendo Switch 2 also has mouse features, so games that are on PC could also potentially hit the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. And not only that, but MMOs as well. We're seeing Final Fantasy 14 on the Nintendo Switch 2. The fact that a lot of different things can run well on the Nintendo Switch 2, especially with DLSS involved as well, it just means we're gonna have more variety in the games that we can play, and that's always a good thing in my book anyways. And someone who enjoys JRPGs and RPGs and games like that, a lot of games usually are in Unreal Engine 5, so having that on the Nintendo Switch 2 is just a plus in my book. And moving on to the next topic, it seems that the Nintendo Switch 1 will continue to have support. So My Nintendo News has an article that says Nintendo president hints they're preparing to continue support for original Nintendo Switch. Now this is actually really interesting because there's a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives like Pokemon, and also Star Fox is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. So the fact that they're still coming out and saying that they're going to support the Nintendo Switch 2, I'd be curious as to in what way, because clearly they do want to have exclusives only for the Switch 2 that don't run on the Switch 1. But anyways, let's read into this. The Nintendo Switch has a ridiculously large install base, and not everyone has shifted over to the newer Switch 2, which has recently been announced to get a price increase. Speaking with investors, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa has hinted to them that it plans to maintain support for Nintendo Switch while consumers dither about whether to upgrade. Actually, matter of fact, real quick, let me know if you guys are still on the Nintendo Switch 1 and if you guys do plan on upgrading, because I'd be curious on how much people are still waiting on the Nintendo Switch 2, especially after the price increase. If you guys didn't catch the news that the sales increased massively on the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan because of the price increase, I'd be curious if that made you actually go out and buy a Nintendo Switch 2, or are you okay with paying the $50 or whatever your regional equivalent of that is. But anyways, Nintendo Patent Watch says they suspect that Nintendo's acquisition of Shiver Entertainment and their investment in Forever Entertainment were part of the plan to further extend original Nintendo Switch support. So this is actually pretty interesting, especially when you factor in the price increase, because they have come out and said things about further price increases, which in my personal opinion, I think they're probably going to increase the price somewhere along the line again. And the reason why I'm saying that is because some more words by Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa. So Nintendo Wire has an article that says Nintendo President states Switch 2 price increase won't cover all cost increases. So then that just makes you think, okay, then what is going to cover it, right? Well, let's dig into the article and find that answer out, and then talk more about the price and the possible increase. As part of the financial result presentation last Friday, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa stated that the upcoming price increase for the Switch 2 will not cover all cost increases associated with manufacturing the console. Speaking to shareholders, Furukawa said, "We sincerely apologize to our customers for the considerable inconvenience and trouble this will cause. While we wanted to prioritize a wide adoption, it was challenging to bear the rising cost over a long period." Nintendo cited the rising cost of memory and the weak yen as the main factors for raising prices. And that's where the Nintendo president talks about increasing the value of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, the fact that they're looking to do more big games, things that make people want to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 1, because I'm pretty sure this probably is going to affect the Nintendo Switch 1 as well, because considering that they're talking about the stuff about shipping them, they also have to ship the Nintendo Switch 1 as well as accessories, amiibos, all of these things. That of course includes the Nintendo Switch 1, but there could be a potential future where things don't sell as well as Nintendo's hoping, and we could see another price increase to cover those costs, or something else in the world happens, or something with the yen gets weaker, something happens that they're not making enough money from their current business, then they have to increase the price again. And I think that's one of the big reasons why they're keeping up with the Nintendo Switch 1 as well, is because they know not everyone is going to jump to the Nintendo Switch 1 or Nintendo Switch 2 just yet, and they're gonna stick with the Nintendo Switch 1. But they also have to give reasons to get the Nintendo Switch 2, and I think that's where a lot of these exclusives come from. I mean, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 1, we can't have that forever. So we do need some sort of exclusivity for the Nintendo Switch 2, some incentives to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, but you still need to support the Nintendo Switch 1 because the price is increasing and not everyone's gonna jump ship to the Nintendo Switch 2 yet. Nintendo currently is in this weird place where they need to balance everything almost perfectly, not tip too far into the Nintendo Switch 1 to where the Nintendo Switch 2 ends up lagging behind, kind of like the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. But they can't go too far into the Nintendo Switch 2 and then leave behind this big install base and a lot of people who have been loyal to the Nintendo Switch 1 and people who own a Nintendo Switch 1 and are looking forward to games on the Nintendo Switch 1. I said Nintendo Switch 1 a lot right there, Jesus. So it's going to be very interesting to see the future of the Nintendo Switch 2 and see if a price increase does happen. Personally, even though I do own a Nintendo Switch 2 already, I don't want them to increase, not just for other people, but like what if they make like, remember there was that rumored Legend of Zelda Nintendo Switch 2 special edition. If they increase the price again, it's going to be like a ridiculous amount of money. I don't want that. If I had the money to buy another Nintendo Switch 2, I won't, let's be honest here. But if there's a weird future where I do, I wouldn't want to pay an extra 50 to 100, and then like we're talking about like even other places that are more expensive, that's even more money. So it's just overall not good for the brand if prices keep increasing. But I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. With that being said, guys, let me know what you guys think about these topics down in the comment section below. Are you excited for Star Fox? Are you excited for the game share? Are you excited for the potential of Star Fox being a bigger I guess franchise for the Nintendo Switch 2? Because if I recall, there's rumors of a Star Fox movie too, or something. I came across something on Twitter about a Star Fox movie, so I'd be pretty excited. And of course, let me know if you jumped to the Nintendo Switch 2 yet, or are you waiting, and do you think we'll see another price increase? Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.